Hello, hello, hello. You want to hear a controversial opinion? I love laugh tracks in sitcoms. I know that almost sounds like blasphemy these days, but back, what, 20, 30 years ago? You'd be hard-pressed to find a scripted comedy that didn't have a laugh track. From classics such as Friends,
I want to kill myself.
or Seinfeld,
We're living in a society.
to even more classics like Cheers.
Cheers is filmed before a live studio audience.
Or if you really want to go for it, you could say something like, I don't know, fucking Leave It to Beaver. As if I've ever watched Leave It to Beaver.
They say a woman's place is in the home, and I suppose as long as she's in the home, she might as well be in the kitchen.
I can throw in some more modern examples, like that.
Here, eat this cheese without farting and you can sleep with my sister.
But, as you may or may not have noticed over the years, the frequency with which live studio audiences have been utilised in comedy shows has decreased dramatically. And the shows that still do use them are...
Let's take a look at your meat.
Well, I mean, they're not good, are they? So this week I thought I'd take a short detour from my usual output to take a little look at this. You know, see what's going on. Get to the bottom of it. Now, like I said in the beginning, I'm a big fan of them. However, that doesn't mean I don't get where people are coming from when they criticise them. A scholar by the name of Kenneth Brewer boiled down the main three criticisms with laugh tracks probably better than I ever could. He stated, they're coercive. They're trying to get you to laugh along with the disembodied voices you hear, almost like a form of peer pressure. They dumb down the audience. They're telling them when there is a joke, almost removing the need for the viewer to even understand the joke. Because, don't worry, they laughed, so you should too. They're deceptive. By this, he either means that the show is tricking you into laughing at jokes that you never would have found funny without the audience, or he's talking about the wider point, that studios tend to edit and sometimes replace audience reactions in post-production to closer fit the vibe that they're going for. This is why, if you listen closely on some shows, you can actually hear the same laugh utilised on multiple episodes, and sometimes even on multiple shows. And look, I don't disagree with Brewer's points here. He is right, I can't lie. But on the flip side, I like laughing when the people laugh. Shut up. But in order to get a more informed opinion on the matter, let's take a look at the origins of the laugh track. So the earliest use of the idea to add a live audience to comedy, apart from, the theatre, actually came from radio. The concept was actually popularised by Bing Crosby in the 1940s, who utilised a pre-recorded audience because he couldn't be bothered to do his show live. Well, actually, that's one version of the story I was able to find. But his sound engineer had another story. The hillbilly comic Bob Burns was on the show one time, and threw a few of his then extremely racy and off-colour folksy farm stories into the show. We recorded it live, and they all got enormous laughs, which just went on and on. But we couldn't use the jokes. Today, those stories would seem tame by comparison, but things were different in radio then. So scriptwriter Bill Morrow asked us to save the laughs. A couple of weeks later, he had a show that wasn't very funny, and he insisted that we put in the salvaged laughs. Thus, the laugh track was born. But who cares about radio? Not me. You might, sorry. But let's skip ahead. Come on. I need visuals for this video. We need to be able to see shit. In the very, 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 very early days of television, studio audiences were hardly ever used, mainly because pretty much all TV was live back then. And producers simply didn't trust the audiences to laugh at the right moments or for the right amount of time. I'd say they should have more faith in people, but I mean, come on, you've met people. The idea of a specifically pre-recorded audience was continued in the 1950s by a sound engineer called Charlie Douglas. Big Brain Chaz made it his mission to fix up the audience on any show he was working on, nabbing reactions from one show and then sticking them on another. This man was going wild with it. Charlie invented a special box which let him choose not just the laughter, but the gender, race and age of the audience laughter, depending on whatever it was for. I mean, I know it's not that crazy now, I can do that with a click of a mouse, but... 1950s, big box. Trust me, it was mad. But that's not to say the idea of having an actual physical audience watching the show went away. In fact, it actually started to become more popular than ever. Don't call it a comeback, it's been here for years. The show I Love Lucy made the choice to have the audience sit there and watch it live, like a play, which proved to work so well for them that basically every sitcom for the next 40 years would follow that same formula. Side note, if you didn't know, I Love Lucy is like a super interesting show behind the scenes. It was the first show to feature a mixed race couple front and centre, but they couldn't share a bed or even say the word pregnant. There's a lot I could say about that show, and maybe I will one day, but for now, back to the audience. For decades following this, nearly every TV comedy would use a laugh track or a live audience. Even animated shows, which... it feels off, right?
You must have been sprayed with some white stuff.
And not a single soul complained about it. Or at least I have no record of it. They didn't have Twitter back then. Not sure if you knew that. Countless all-time classic shows used it, such as Cheers,
Soon we'll be naked, you stupid cuckold.
The Golden Girls,
A slut and a moron.
and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
It's the Donald!
And even over here in the UK, with shows such as Fawlty Towers, Only Fools and Horses,
Oh my God, he's an illegal immigrant.
and Blackadder.
Oh my God, my earmuffs have fallen down.
But hey mama, welcome to the 90s. Parachute pants are in and Ronald Reagan is out. And sitcoms start to switch themselves up a little. See, up until this point, most comedy series were filmed with a multi-camera setup, meaning that they cut between several different cameras filming the same take. But now, comedy was looking to mature, to move past that. It wanted to be like its more respected brother, drama, and use a single camera setup. You see, a single camera setup, as you can probably guess, was when only one camera was used, which meant you had to film different takes to get the scene from different angles. But it also meant that it was easier to film on location, instead of in some fake looking set. As you can imagine, this didn't exactly make it easy to include a live audience, although I would have liked to see them try. And because of this, some shows like Sex and the City,
I just want to tie her down and force feed her lard.
and Freaks and Geeks
Oh man, I gotta pee.
just didn't bother to have one. I mean, yeah, fair enough, it would have ruined them all. I mean, we obviously still had multi-camera sitcoms, some of the most popular ever in fact, but now they had a contender to their comedy crown. And as the new millennium hit, the two initially lived together in harmony, but everything changed when the general public attacked. The rise of social media meant the rise of people's opinions that I didn't ask for, and one of those many opinions was the backlash towards the laugh track. Tweets were drafted, YouTube videos were made, and yeah, I get it, this style can feel sort of outdated. And the 3 points that Kenneth Brewer mentioned earlier are valid. But I don't know, they've always had a charm to me. I like the sense of camaraderie you get from watching something with an audience. You laugh, they laugh, we laugh together. There's peace, harmony. For that brief moment, we're all connected, wordlessly agreeing on something together. But like I said, all the new ones are shit. Personally, I do think there is still a place for scripted comedies with an audience to exist. But I'd be lying if I said they didn't need some kind of an update. There has to be a new spin on this style that can bring it back. Someone will eventually figure it out and it'll be a glorious time for all. Not me. I can't be arsed. Right, so that's pretty much all I have to say on the subject for now. Cheers for listening to me waffle on. I appreciate it. If you liked what you've seen and you haven't already, feel free to subscribe or pay me on Patreon. Also, on that point, we now have our first patron, Nathan, an absolute king. Nathan, the lucky sod, now gets to find out what videos I'm doing each month ahead of time, and gets a mention in every video. So, if you're watching this far, make sure to comment, big up Nathan. Bye bye bye.